Can we kind of go back to a 101? Do you have like maybe some, I don't know, tips and tricks for people that want to start, delving into that world?
Absolutely.
Dominance?
I know, it's kind of fascinating. It's a bit of a rabbit hole. The deeper you go, the more
The deeper
the
you go,
deeper
the
you
deeper
realize
you
it
go.
is. Yeah, the deeper you go, the deeper you go. Where were those butt plugs you had?
Yeah. I'll bring them back.
Yeah. Anyway, so for somebody who's just starting out, it's really important to have a sense of your motivation. Why do you want to become a dominant?
Yes. Can you even tell me, just talking about that, kind of the psychology of why? Why sadists?
Yeah, why sadists? Oh, well, that's a subject for a show unto itself. But I think that we all have within us, or it's a human experience to explore the positive side of our nature, but we are not all positive, right? We all have a shadow side to us. Yeah, and pain and pleasure and control and surrender and those kinds of polarities or opposites are really present in all of life. Yeah, so everybody has within them times where they're in control and times where they're out of control. We all know
Speaking
that.
as a hot mess. Yeah.
Yes.
Agree.
Check. So people. I think it's healthy to explore all the different faces of who you are, in order from just from a psychological perspective, that when we repress parts of our personality, they tend to come out in ways that we have no control over and that sometimes are not the most well-adjusted stuff like that, right? So what BDSM allows for is a safe container in which people can kind of go into those dark sides of their nature, the part of them that wants to hurt someone, part of them that wants to tie up someone, the part of them that wants to see another person suffer. And I in air quotes, because this is consensual, with the intention of pleasure for both people,
Not the intention of harm.
not the intention of actual harm. So people, it gives people an outlet. I really do believe, and there have been studies done now that people who practice BDSM are actually more well-adjusted mentally, or mental health wise, than people who don't.
Do you think it's like going to the gym, or like punching the punching bag, or like any stress, anything people do to unwind from stress? Do you think it's
I think too is for many people, I think there are two ways of approaching BDSM. I think there are people who approach it as something that they do, in the sense that it is something that they pursue as kind of like a leisure activity or a stress relief activity or a therapeutic activity that helps them to scratch an itch or de-stress or let go for an hour, or what have you. So in that sense, I do believe it's like,
for those people,
it's like golf.
It's like golf. For those people, it's like golf.
For those people, it's like golf. Then you've got people for whom it's who they are rather than something that they do. And for those type of people, it's a need or an identity. I don't know if any studies have been done, particularly comparing like people who are kinky to people who are lesbian or gay or bisexual. But I do believe that it's more like an orientation. Yeah. So for people for whom it's part of their identity, it goes beyond just something that they do. It's something that they are. It's a way of being in the world. It's a way in which they choose to structure their relationships, and so on and so forth. So it's a little bit more of a more far-reaching aspect of who they are.
So going back to what we were saying, what is something like that I could go home and do tonight to like begin harnessing,
your inner dominatrix?
My inner dominatrix. Asking for a friend.
Of course you are. Well, something you could do, for starters, is you could take a look at your general patterns in the bedroom. Like, we all have kind of like a way of being sexually that after a while, when we've been with somebody for a long time, we tend to get into a bit of patterned behavior. First date's great, second date's awesome, third date's great. Maybe that goes on for 6 months or a year, and then after that, you're like, yeah, I know what they're gonna do. If I do this, they're gonna do this,
Yes,
and then
you're
pressing the buttons. You're on autopilot.
Yes.
So you want to take a look and see whether any of those patterns that you have are not really conducive to dominance. So, for example, if you, I'm sure this isn't true for you, but if you have a hard time asking for what you want, or
I do. I do.
I'm sure you do.
I do. Yeah, sure.
But, so places where you have a hard time being directive sexually, or taking the initiative sexually, or expressing your desires and limits. Yeah. Those kinds of things are like basic foundational skills of dominance, because you have to be able to take charge of a scenario. And yes, you're co-creating it with another person. But if you're always waiting for the other person to take the initiative, or, you can't ask for what you want or what you like, or it makes it really hard to be a top.
Sure.
Right?
Yes. That's the opposite
Kind of like
thing.
standing there scratching your head looking awkward, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, so you want to just what are your current patterns, and are they conducive to dominance? And what can you do to shift some of them to make them more reflective of a confident, assertive attitude towards sexuality?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because through confidence, I feel like it's hard to fake being dominant. It's hard to fake being really toppy. You know what I mean? Like you
can do it, but you gotta work at it.
Yeah. Like without confidence.
Yeah. Without confidence, it's really hard.
It's hard,
it's
right?
Hard.
And I feel like there might be a little bit of a loop there where it's like you have to be confident to be a dominant, but to be a dominant, you have to be confident. I don't know if I said that right, but like
there is a link between them for sure.
Yeah.
The dominant role.
How do you get confident if you're? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, you get people all the time. I get people coming to my reluctant dominatrix workshop where I teach at Good for Her,
yes.
And they are women who are really interested in dominance, but they find it totally intimidating and scary.
Yes.
So one of the things that can sometimes block is feelings of self-consciousness, feeling like you're not worthy of being served, feeling like no one would ever want to be your submissive because you're not good enough, or you don't look like that, stereotype of the latex-clad corset, high heels, 5'10" with a whip,
woman.
Bitchy cold woman,
Wearing black lipstick.
black lipstick.
Yes.
So people think, oh well, I'm not that, and therefore I'm not what they're fantasizing about. When in actuality, there are as many different versions of a dominant as there are people interested in occupying that role. Mm-hmm. And the sexiest thing is that self-confidence, is that however you look and however you feel comfortable dressing and whatever you feel like wearing that makes you feel more dominant, your confidence is going to carry through all of that. Mm-hmm. And that's sexy. So anything you can do to improve your confidence level will help you in that role.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're about time for a little bit of a break. And actually,
awesome.
I have a bit of show and tell. I usually bring the guests to do tell them to bring some implements and toys and whatnot. But for my little commercials today, I have actually brought a couple things because, oh baby, check these out.
Oh my God. Those are amazing.
These are by Love Crafters Toys.
Huh.
This is an indie Toronto silicone artist, Shay. Hey Shay, girl, what's up? Pure silicone.
Wow.
They're freaky. They're fantastical.
Let me see this. Oh my God.
Touch all of this strawberry.
This
is a butt
something
plug.
else.
This is one of the lovely butt plugs that Shay makes.
Huh.
We got some lovely ridges on the inside here, and we've got this lovely little greenery that's going to kind of splay out when worn. It's really lovely.
How pretty.
Since it's the month of February.
Are we getting ready for spring? Is that what these are for?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so good. Spring has sprung, everybody, because Love Crafters Toys has got, check out this gorgeous rose. Again, with this little bulbous part that's going to be inserted. And then you have this lovely little flora.
Rosebud.
Fauna. Rosebud. That will be external there. If you want to go to Love Crafters Toys, check out their Etsy shop. That's the first place. They also have a small selection available at comeasyouare.com, who is our full-time sponsor. They're an amazing trans-owned, trans-operated sex shop here in Toronto. Woo-hoo. You can go on their website to get a 15% discount with the coupon code bedpost, BEDPOST, when you visit comeasyouare.com. And you can see these freaky, fantastical, nerdy, geeky. They do tentacles. I was saying to you pre-recording.
Oh, that's the best.
Strap-on compatible tentacle
Really?
dildos.
I gotta get some of those for my dungeon.
Come on now, right? And
That
they
is
do
so
like
great.
dragon egg Benoit balls. They do unicorn horn dildos. This is
Sex
some
toys have gotten really interesting in the last few years.
These are some interesting, fun,
Yeah.
non-intimidating sex toys. And I believe that's basically Shay's whole deal is she wants it to be fun and she wants it to be not intimidating. She doesn't want anyone to be scared to use this like cute little rose and cute little strawberry.
That is so brilliant.
So they're brilliant. And Shay has also been known to like give away a couple toys at my bedpost stage shows. So, you know, if you want to like come and see a great show and potentially get one of these fantastic door prizes. Just saying.
That is totally worth it.
Speaking of show and tell.
Oh, yes. Well, I have my own show and tell here. They're not quite as unintimidating as what you got over there on that side of the table.
Yeah,
But
this falls more in the intimidating wheelhouse. Oh my God. Great. Yes, yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to put them down on the table. So that we got those two babies.
Oh my God.
And one of these.
One of these hairbrush. Ooh.
And then
Nice little smack.
it is a very nice little snack. And a wooden spoon.
A wooden spoon.
A wooden spoon.
So we got bamboo, some bamboo canes.
You've got some bamboo canes. And one last thing, which is helpful for keeping the person in position while you are implementing such slightly intimidating toys, is this, which is called a humbler. and okay, you got to ask me how this goes on.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. How do we even? This is like two wooden slats together by
this is-
two bolts.
Yes. So if you imagine a poor submissive who has done something very, very bad
I'm imagining
and
it.
deserves a punishment, and let's just say they are the kind of submissive who has balls. What happens is this lovely implement unhooks, and as they are, if you can imagine them sort of bent over with their forehead on the ground and their ass up in the air waiting for one of these lovely implements, this kind of hooks behind their legs and their balls go through here. They come out that way.
Yep.
So that they actually cannot come back up to a kneeling position without it being rather uncomfortable. Uncomfortable being
Yes.
an understatement.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
so it facilitates the application of one of these babies.
Yes. Okay. So this is
yeah.
holding them in place.
That's holding them in place.
What is all this stuff doing?
And so all this stuff is for the discipline and punishment of people who deserve it. For a variety of reasons.
This guy, what is this going to feel like?
So that's going to feel, so those two are like classic canes. And
Yeah.
this is going to feel very sharp and stingy. This, if you can
Brutal.
imagine this, yeah, it's brutal. And yet people love it. The surface area is really small. So when you have a small surface area like that and the
gonna be very
momentum,
focused,
it's
yeah?
very focused. It's very focused. And so you get really lovely stripes. So
Yeah, I was going to say
yeah.
the marks.
The
that it's
marks are
leaving,
stripes.
It's going to leave you some stripes.
Yeah, which is so much fun. It's fun for me. It's also fun for them.
Maybe a little
have
more
to
fun
say.
for you, though.
Maybe a little bit more
maybe
fun.
A little bit.
It hurts me more than it hurts them.
Yeah, exactly.